as a general FYI to the author community, your first novel will have errors in it. It's just going to happen. It doesn't matter if you're indie published or traditionally published, there will be errors no matter how many people are looking over this before it goes to publication. You've all seen those big name traditional published books have errors in them. Grammar errors, spelling errors, punctuation errors. There are things that people miss, and they have tons of people going over this before it goes to publication. If you're indie, it's going to happen as well, no matter who you work with or how many eyes you have on it. Do not panic when this happens, because it happens. A lot of times indie authors will take a lot of flack for this because people like to be hypercritical of indie, even though they go through the same process that the traditionally published people go through in terms of working with editors and all of the professionalism that goes behind it. But we get a little more freaked out about finding these errors after the fact, but it happens to everybody. Every book that you publish is going to have some element of typo, some level of grammatical error in it, despite going through professional editing and mechanical editing and self-editing and all of those things. It's going to happen. If you see it and you can fix it, great. If you see it and you can't fix it because it's a lot of work and a lot of money to fix it, it's fine. It's not going to be a huge deal as long as it's not riddled with errors. If you've worked with a professional editor, you should be good. However, there are some professional editors that are not so good at their job. So you have to make sure you're working with an actual professional. Back when I first started publishing, I worked with a couple of editors who lied and misrepresented themselves and said they worked with big 5 publishers and all of these things. And they ended up being beta readers for authors before they got picked up. And that was what they were using to build their credentials. And because I trusted them and the credentials that they gave me, I had a lot of errors and a lot of issues with my first couple of books that I had to go back and fix because they misrepresented themselves. So just make sure you do your research and then you have a lot of extra eyes on it, but it is not something you need to panic over because it happens to all of us. It is not the thing that you should be focused on in terms of tearing yourself down or feeling bad about yourself or feeling the imposter syndrome. Everybody has that happen. We all have errors and issues and problems with our books after they are published. Sometimes we fix them, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we fix them and then we find more. It's just the way that it works. If you have a passage of 500 words and you have errors in it, that's probably concerning. But if you have 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 words and there are a couple of errors, that's a very small percentage. Even though people might find them, even though people might comment about them in the reviews, it's a very small percentage of the overall creation that is not correct. So we're not worrying, we're not panicking about it. It happens to everybody. You will. Even if you are with the biggest name traditional publisher who sends you through their most high-ranking editor, you will have some elements of errors in the book. It's just going to happen. So the best thing that you can do is to learn to watch for those things. So if you have a mistake that you keep making again, check it, double check it, and then do the best you can, get it out into the world. If you can fix it, if you can tweak it, by all means, go ahead and do that. It's much easier to do this in the ebook version than the print version, especially depending on which publisher you are working with. Some of them are quite costly to be changing the manuscript for a comma or a 1 or 2 weird typos. So it is totally up to your discretion, but it's not going to make or break your career. It will not make or break your success. This is not the thing that we're dying on that hill for, okay? This is just par for the course when it comes to this community. Do the best you can, work with the best professionals you can, have as many eyes on this as possible, and then move forward. A couple of mistakes will not destroy your career. It happens to everybody, and it's in all of the books. It's in all books. You might not catch it, but it's in all of the books. So we're not panicking over this. We're not worrying about this. If you have questions on that first book, I've done a couple of videos on what to know about your first book, the things that people don't think of, and they've really popped off. So drop your questions. What are you worried about? What are you concerned about with your first book? Let me dispel those fears for you. And let me break down some of those fallacies and myths that we have about those perfect first books going out into the publishing world. And follow along for daily videos helping you navigate the world of publishing, from writing to publishing to marketing, to make this your most profitable and most fun author year ever. We'll see you in tomorrow's episode.